multiplier. The question of whether there was an influence from above or anywhere else, no. Not that I know of. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mukosa, then Honorable Mumba.
Thank you so much, Chair. Controlling officer, clearly here, we have seen that the risk that was inherent in this particular transaction, it materialized. I think you are aware that it is incumbent upon your officers, finance director, the head of procurement, the head of internal audit, to ensure that they help in protecting the resources of the government from being wasted, including yourself also. But in this particular case, they neglected their duty to do so. So I want to find out, why haven't you meted out punishment to these officers in line with Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018?
Let's speak from Honorable Mumba, then controlling officer can answer. Honorable Mumba.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just in line with my colleague, Honorable Mukosa, I just wanted to find out, because under procurement, I know that the officers have been given different responsibilities, or they work in specific thresholds. So when I look at this threshold, obviously, there must be somebody who deals with this particular type of procurement, and then obviously for other huge purchases, there's also probably another individual and so on. Just in line with what my colleague has mentioned, why has it taken you so long to mete out any punishment in line with the Public Finance Act? Thanks.
Controlling officer, you can pick up.
Chair, thank you for giving me the chance to respond. Could I just try to put to bed the issue that has been raised twice by Honorable Mesiana Piri over what we are doing over recovery of the funds? We've reported to the police to ask them to assist us recover the money. We've also asked the police service to pay us the money that's owed by the sister company. But then we've also gone further and asked the Solicitor General on how we can be able to proceed to secure a conviction over this. Then coming to the issue of disciplinary action, I know, Honorable Mukosa, I don't want to hear my apologies, but clearly from what has happened, we need to take disciplinary action. All I can promise is once we've done the disciplinary action, we will report to the committee and update the Auditor General's office about the action that we've taken on the matter.
Honorable Mukosa.
Controlling officer, we understand that you are in your acting capacity, so maybe we can help you with the possible actions that you can take. First of all, reporting to the police, which you have stated that you have done, is not enough. It's a long cut. It's a long process, but of course it can help you maybe in the long run. And we don't even know the status of the report that you've made to the police, if they have responded or not. So you have other possible options. The officers are here. You can recover the money from the officers. Okay, you can recover the money. Then also in your punishment, these professionals, they are regulated. For example, the finance director, she's registered with Zika. You have to report that she's participating in, committing finance irregularities. And when you mete out such punishment, I think we need to also know. Chairman, I don't know the time frame that we're going to give the the acting controlling officer, so that we know when we should anticipate feedback from him. Then on the issue of the recoveries, I think the best is you recover from the officers so that they don't repeat. It's easier and quicker. Then they will also make sure that they start making follow-ups with the police. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mukosa. I think controlling officer, if you look at your payment vouchers, these things were, I think, were happening in 2020. And I think prior to that, I think there were also Auditor General came in, and all those processes in the audit process, I'm sure they were brought to your table. Just answering Honorable Mukosa's question on how long we should give you. I think, Honorable, there's no time looking to these things happen prior, and by now the ministry should have made those measures to recover monies. We've seen other ministries doing that. I think submitting here that recoveries have been done and officers monies has been recovered, because controlling officers, you might be aware, we are dealing with public money, and we should not deprive Zambians the much services they need through negligence of our officers who are well vested with some of these duties coming from professional bodies such as Zika, or the procurement and OCIP and things like that. I think that should be taken very, very seriously. And just to maybe highlight to the procurement as well as internal audit, it's important that here we are guided by the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act of Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. So what you say here, you are protected, but it's a double-edged sword. If you mislead the committee, it will come after you. So with that said, I think members, controlling officer, I think let me also have your response on, I think it's page 6, management of capital projects. There's an issue with this contractor of towers. First, the question is that you failed to pay the IPC amounting to $26 million, 362, and there's an issue of also variation with Attorney General's office on your rescooping. If you look at these two issues, controlling officer, first you started your rescoping from 2018, and you didn't get prior authority from Attorney General's chambers. But if you look at your attachment or what you've submitted saying for clearance is 19th August 2021. From 2018, is this the only correspondence you've written to Attorney General's chambers to get clearance for rescoping this contract? And also in your changing with new technology, I think this comes, you are seeking authority after 2 years of the contract to have this cleared by Attorney General. So did you inform or engage the Attorney General's chambers first that Exim Bank had refused to honor the IPC? Secondly, why did it take you long to write to AG to seek authority? Because I'm looking at 2 years after. This is, I think, is this not acceptable? So please, if there's any question from members, Honorable Mukosa.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, in addition to the questions that have been posed by the chairman, I want to find out if management in your ministry didn't know that clearance from the Attorney General was needed before undertaking the variations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's take in another question from Honorable Daka, then you can answer, Controlling Officer.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling Officer, I would want to be, the committee would want to be made clear on the rescoping exercise. How possible can a rescoping exercise of you are omitting a scope of 21.5 million US dollar and replacing it with an exact $21.5 million scope of works. How possible can such happen? Whether you are saying that you are replacing the old technology with a new technology, I don't think it can equalize in such a manner whereby the exact figure of what you are omitting, it's the exact figure that you are adding. We need a serious clarification on this matter. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Controlling officer, you can answer those questions.
Chair, as to whether management knew that they needed clearance from the Attorney General, clearly we did know as management that we needed clearance from the Attorney General. There are several other contracts that we've done, and we did seek this clearance. For the other questions, I'll ask Director Communications to come and assist answering them. Was this the only correspondence since 2018 for the clearance, and how possible is it that it is exact?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Thank you for that question. Let me just first of all state that this regrettable incident of missing the need to get clearance was noted, and we're trying to make sure that that is done. But on the rescoping, Chair, maybe let me just explain the context. The project was signed, or let me just say the design of the project was done a year or two before. And at the time when we were beginning to implement the project, we realized that there were some things that were still very odd, and wanted to make value out of that. So we engaged the contractor to try and renegotiate some of those items in the BOQ, which we thought that were very odd. Now, Zamtel is both the beneficiary as well as the project manager of this particular project. So they did request the ministry if we can actually go for some items that were of better value. Now, within the spirit of negotiations, I think the contractor was kind enough to maintain the same value that is in there is a standard book of pricing. They were kind enough to accept to offer new components on the same price in the original contract. So that was part of the negotiations. It could have been maybe slightly higher, or it could even have been maybe slightly less, but I think we stuck to the basis that newer technologies will probably come at a price, but they accepted to actually give them to us at that value. So, Chair, that was the spirit in which the negotiations went, and how we obtained that value. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Issue of the authority from Attorney General's chambers for rescoping, controlling officer. I think that hasn't been answered yet.
Chair, are you requesting if we got there?
If there was any other correspondence with the Attorney General.
Maybe just to guide
no,
you.
there was, and Chair, no, there wasn't.
Honorable Mumba.
Thank you, Chairperson. I heard the Director of Communications saying it's regrettable that Attorney General's chambers were not engaged. Your Director of Communication, do you realize that this is Zambian money, taxpayers' money? The money we're talking about here. And regrettable is an answer you can give us here. How often do you look at the procurement rules as a management? Because that's your guiding book. How often do you look at them as a team? Because you can't come here. The nation is listening. People are struggling. Yes, on one hand, we have improved communication, but on the other, we're losing money. Procedures are not being followed, and you sum it up in a word called regret. Can you give us a better answer? Thank you.
Honorable Mkosa, then the director can pick it up.
Chair, what my colleague has said was my concern as well, because the director seemed to be grossing over a very serious irregularity. So now I don't understand if controlling officer, this is the casual approach your officers are taking towards serious matters. This is a very serious irregularity, where we see a director coming here and just say, no, we regret. No, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. I think we need more serious answers.
Before Honorable Ferrari comes in, controlling officer, I think this was echoed by Honorable Ferrari there to say this. We all know this is a very serious business. We're dealing with public money for the Zambian people, and we are officers who've been entrusted with powers to do appropriation to spend on behalf of the Zambian people. I think we should take these things very serious, even as we put forward our answers. I think it's important and imperative that we give proper answers. Let's not take things casual. Honorable Ferrari.
Chair, I actually wanted to re-echo that, but also to indicate to the controlling officer that everything that is being talked here, everything that we are discussing, actually, the buck stops at you. All these other junior officers, even if we are putting them on stand, everything stops at you. So there is a total failure in your ministry. Total failure. And there are so many other questions that we were going to raise, but it looks like this ministry is in shambles, Chair. And the earlier they put it together, the better. But we want answers anyway. At the end of it, we still want answers. We want answers, in short, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable. Maybe Honorable Daka, before you come in, let's give the controlling officer to, I think there are things which have been highlighted by Honorable Mumba and Honorable Kalalwe, as well as I'm not yet answered on the issue of the Attorney General. And controlling officer, it seems in your ministry, this issue of interest, I think it's an inside job, I should say, because all your contracts, it ends up in interest being charged. Or is the same question which Honorable Kalalwe raised, do you have competent people in your ministry to look at contracts? Do you have, you have Office of the Attorney General, which you haven't engaged in my earlier submission. So please, just put this committee up to speed on those issues that I think they've raised. Thank you. Controlling officer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members. Chair, I would like to assure the committee that we take the matters that come before the committee very seriously. We take the work and the guidance and the findings that come out of the Auditor General's office very seriously. Even before we were appearing before your committee, Chair, I have consulted on several occasions with the Auditor General's office on how can we find solutions to these matters. Apologies to members if in our responses we look casual. We will try and ensure that our tone and our body language to you is not indicating that we are trying to deal with the matters in a casual way. With regard to our engagement with the Auditor General, Chair, the straight answer from the original question you had asked, was this the first time we are engaging the Auditor General over this matter? The answer is yes.
Controlling officer, I mean Attorney General. Attorney General.
Well, it was the first time we were engaging the Attorney General over this matter. We have engaged him with regard to several other projects and several other amendments. That's why in the beginning I had answered that the answer to what Honorable Mukos had asked, did management know? The answer was yes, management knew, because we had several contracts we had done and we had consulted the Attorney General.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Daka.
Chair, I'm not fully satisfied with the question that I had asked. I think my proposal, my further to what I had asked, this committee, I'll go to the controlling officer. Controlling officer, I feel you need to give us proof that the same scope, which was tagged at $21.5 million, was replaced at the same price. We need proof, because you might be showing us figures that it was the same amount when in actual fact there was a reduction in the scope of works. We could be looking at the figures when the scope was actually in fact reduced. So we need proof from your office on the replaced scope. We would want to compare the original scope to the revised scope if they are of the same magnitude. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daka. Honorable Mkosa.
Thank you so much, Chair. Controlling officer, now that you have confirmed that you knew that you really needed clearance from the Attorney General, I want to find out, what is the purpose of getting clearance 2 years after you signed the addendum? Are you merely trying to please the PAC members? Then also, the second question is, I would like you to enlighten this committee why again you haven't, or if you have, you will state why you haven't meted out any punishment against erring officers who failed to guide or render appropriate advice to the ministry in this particular matter for the variation without Attorney General's office. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Controlling Officer, I think you can pick up with those two questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, with regard to the issue of why after 2 years, it's still very necessary, Chair. It's not just a matter of pleasing the committee. This is a contract that is actually still running. So if anything will go wrong, we will require that the Attorney General be able to guide us and ensure that any things that we need to do to be able to secure government funds and the people's funds are still secure, even if we are going after 2 years. The issue of disciplinary action, we'll take it as guidance, the same way you guided us over the other point, and we will get back to the committee as to the action we would have done over that.
Honorable Mumba, then Honorable Mfarari, is that a hand as well? Okay, then from Honorable Mumba, we'll go to Honorable Mfarari. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think that, for me, it really surprises me, because most of the officers who come, and this is not a question, just a contribution. All the officers who are here have worked in government for years and years and years. Some of them have appeared on this committee. They will appear next year in various forms. Last time he appeared, he was a director. He comes as a PS and so on. Surely, if we were following rules, would we be having these challenges we're facing today? Or we would be talking about a progressive ministry, a ministry that the Zambian people, when they charge you with the money, they know that this money will be prudently spent, and there will be nothing like having these conversations. Controlling officer, when do you think we'll reach that stage where you come here and all you get are kudos that you have followed the rules, you have spent the money wisely? When do you think your ministry can get to that? Because I know you have appeared on this committee through various ministries you have served. Thank you.
Honorable Mfarari, before the controlling officer picks up.
Chair, I can see that we are not getting answers, and it actually demotivates, because you wanted to ask more. There are so many areas that we would want to know in terms of what really happened, the audit queries that have been presented to us. The controlling officer, have you been working in this ministry, or you are new to this ministry?
Chair, I've been in the ministry for 6 years by this December.